with certainly hundreds of high school and college kids, helping them figure out what the heck they want to be when they grow up. And sometimes the obvious choices are more stupid than people realize. And so what I'm going to focus on here is maybe some unconventional wisdom about some of the more popular careers and maybe alternatives or little tweaks to those careers that may give you kind of an unusual advantage compared to everybody else in the job market. But first, this guy who's interviewing me asked me to tell you guys a little bit about myself, so I'll briefly do that. I have a PhD from Berkeley, but don't hold that against me. It's a bunch of theory that I really has not helped me at all, so that's irrelevant. But what is relevant is that I've always been a nut about careers and work, and every time, whether I'm at a party or reading something, I'm obsessed with learning about people and their careers and their work lives. So between that and my 2,700 clients that I've worked with over the last 20 years, I've learned a couple of things, and that's what I want to share with you today.
Terrific.
So we'll start with what seems to be like the #1 status career for people who are science oriented, and that's being a doctor. Well, it used to be a dream career. You had all the status, and you wore the white coat, and there were all these great TV shows where you're the hero. But in reality, it is become a pretty crazy choice, because not only is it 1,000,000 years of school, not only 4 hard years of college, which often take 5 or 6 because you got to take all that physics and chemistry and calculus and all this other stuff. Then you got 4 years of ridiculously expensive medical school, ironically, where you're learning a lot of theoretical stuff that you really is not, believe it or not necessarily that relevant to being a doctor. Then you've got an internship. You've heard about those 100-hour-a-week internships, and then you got residencies that are 2 to 5 years where you're making coolie wages. You could make more money per hour working at McDonald's, and then you get out and you've got insurance paperwork up the yin-yang when you're trying to deal with patients. You spend as much time with paperwork than with patients, because these health maintenance organizations, insurance companies, they make you work for give you only about 10 minutes per patient. So, and then you got non-compliant patients, you get lawsuits, you get, malpractice. So, in some ways, I think one of the most overrated careers of all these days is being a doctor. But there are great alternatives. I really think that this is going to be the era of biomedical, genetic research. Those horrible diseases like cancer and heart disease and diabetes and strokes and all those disgusting things that you're way too young to worry about now are going to be cured by you. And so the key very often will be to major in not biology like fluffy biology, look at the pretty little koalas with their fur, but rather, molecular biology. Because today biology is math. And so if you're not math averse, it's a great career. Try to major in molecular biology, probably need a PhD in molecular biology, but you may be the person who's going to cure your mother or father's, God forbid, cancer. So that's like a really cool career for somebody who was thinking about being a doctor. If you're not so smart and you're not going to get a PhD in molecular biology, there's a great alternative to being a doctor called physician assistant, which is basically a little 2-year degree at community college. And by the way, community colleges are the most underrated colleges in America. Forget the damn status. You'll probably get a better education, not to mention at a fraction of the price at a community college than at La Frou-Frou private college. So, and don't listen to those private college counselors. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're mainly interested in the money. Or not mainly, but at least they're partly interested in the money. And smartest advice I could probably give you, hell with the college counselor, go to the community college for 2 years, transfer to a good 4-year school, get a lot of practical real-world experience. You don't owe me a dime. It's free. Okay. But physician assistant is a great career for those people who would like to be a doctor and don't want to spend 9,000,000 years. 2 years at community college, usually a 1 or 2 year training program after that, and you get to do the cool stuff that doctors get to do. A lot of health education, a lot of diagnosis, a lot of exams, and you treat diseases that can be cured, not like stage 4 cancer. So, really cool career, and they make good money. They're making 80, 90, 100,000 bucks a year. Not too shabby for that little school, and it's a really kind of a cool, rewarding job for a lot of people. Okay, but let's say you're not a science type at all. Let's say you're more, you're the word person, and your parents are always telling, well, you like to argue, so you should be a lawyer. Well, reality is that lawyers, there's studies after study after study show that about 75% of lawyers would not be lawyers again if they were starting over again. So, again, you got 4 years of college, you got 3 years of very competitive law school, and then there's tremendous pressures to be immoral, because you got all these smart people who are lawyers in these very contentious arguments about which corporation should get money from which other corporation. It lends itself to sleaziness, pressure, and I know a lot of lawyers who have futons in their offices because they got to pull all-nighters preparing for the deposition the next day. Deposition, by the way, is just interrogating people. So, what's an alternative? A really cool alternative is mediator. A lot of people, whether they're trying to get divorced or a landlord-tenant dispute or whatever, don't want lawyers because the lawyers are there like piranhas, about to kill each other like pit bulls. But rather, they'd rather have more conciliatory types, people who are more likely to try to help them find points of agreement. And that's what a mediator is. So I encourage you to go to mediate.com, which has got a lot of information about mediation. Better alternative for than lawyer. Now, another one of these popular careers that gets romanticized in the media, but that's total BS, is teaching. You know, we see, the youthful, idealized faces that are eager to learn from the wisdom of the wise teacher. The reality is that 40% of all teachers leave the profession within 5 years. And most kids, you think back to your own school, think back to your classes. How many of the kids really care deeply about geometric theorems and the causes of the Peloponnesian War? Give me a break. And so, especially with ever more challenging classes, where now, in most classes today, various political considerations are forcing very low-achieving kids and gifted kids to be educated in the same class, native speakers of English and newcomers all in the same class. It's a Herculean job to try to teach all those kids in one class. Really burnout profession. I would encourage you to probably avoid teaching. It's not that salaries are so bad. Teachers' unions have really pushed hard to build the salaries up and tremendous security of employment. After the first 2 or 3 years as a teacher, unless you rape a child, you've got your job for life. So it's not that the salary is bad or the job security is bad. It's great, and benefits are great. The problem is the job is really, 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 really hard. You don't necessarily get the summers off anymore. You are really killing yourself. So instead of teaching, think about being a tutor. The reality is that kids learn best one-on-one. They don't learn in large groups. Think about yourself. Do you really learn a lot in those classes of 30? Or are you snoring or writing notes to your friend or listening to your listening to your iTunes? So, but a tutor, you're working one-on-one. You could really make a difference one-on-one with kids. You develop an intimate relationship with the kid. And the money, a good tutor can make 70, 80, I've heard of over 100, over in Westchester County, the rich area outside New York City, they're making $120, $130 an hour if you're a really good tutor. So, you aspiring teachers, think about tutoring. Next, now, my